Welcome back to the gentle harbor. Tonight, there's nothing you need to solve or decide. I invite you to come with me to the little bakery that opens before sunrise, where warm bread begins its quiet journey before the village has fully woken, and the first golden light of morning gathers softly beyond the harbor. The village is still resting. The windows are dim. The rooftops are deep blue beneath the last quiet stars. Along the narrow streets, the lanterns glow with a gentle steadiness, keeping soft company with the early hour. The cobblestones hold the coolness of the night, and they guide you along the familiar path with the same patience they have always offered. There's no need to know exactly where you're going. The village remembers the way. Far beyond the cottages, the sea continues its patient song beyond the harbor. Its rhythm moves slowly through the darkened air. A quiet breath, a gentle return. A steady presence beneath the sleeping sky. Most doors remain closed. Curtains rest peacefully behind windows. A few flower boxes hold the scent of lavender, rosemary, and damp earth from the night air. Everything seems gathered inward, resting, waiting, held gently between night and morning. Then, on the corner of a small lane, a single window glows. Warm, golden, steady. The bakery. Its sign hangs above the door, painted in soft cream letters upon weathered wood. The Morning Bakery. The little bell beside the entrance rests quietly in the stillness. A woven basket sits beside the door, ready for the first loaves of the day. And from somewhere within, the gentle scent of flour, butter, and warm wood begins to drift into the street. It's the kind of fragrance that seems to belong to care itself. Simple, steady, generous. The bakery has opened before sunrise for as long as anyone in the village can remember. Before the bookshop receives its morning basket, before the tea house warms its first pot, before the lighthouse keeper looks down toward the harbor and sees the first pale line of day. There's always this window, this golden square of light, this quiet promise that the morning is being prepared by gentle hands. You pause outside for a moment. The glass holds a soft reflection of the sleeping street behind you. The lanterns, the rooftops, the deep blue sky, and inside, just beyond the warm pane, the bakery waits with its wooden tables, linen cloths, clay bowls, and the old oven already beginning to glow. Nothing here asks you to hurry. Nothing here asks anything of you. The morning is still far from rushing into the village. For now, there is only this quiet lane, this warm window, this scent of bread that spreads before daylight, and the steady sea breathing softly beyond the harbor. The bakery door opens with a gentle sound. A little warmth reaches the street, and the golden light welcomes you. Inside the bakery, the air is warm and soft. It carries the comforting scent of flour, honey, butter, and wood that has held many peaceful mornings. The room glows in shades of cream and gold. Amber light rests upon the long wooden table in the center of the kitchen. Clay bowls sit quietly along one side. A folded linen towel rests near a small jar of cinnamon. A wooden spoon lies beside a bowl of pale flour, its handle smooth from years of familiar use. Everything has its place. Everything seems ready in the gentlest way. The old oven stands at the far end of the room. Its warmth fills the kitchen slowly, steadily, like a quiet sunrise made of brick and firelight. The baker has already tied a linen apron around his waist. His movements are unhurried, careful, certain. He seems to know the kitchen by heart, the way one knows a favorite path through a garden. He reaches for a bowl, then flour, then water. Each gesture is simple. Each one belongs to the morning. The flour falls softly into the bowl like pale moonlight. A little salt follows, then warm water poured in a slow, clear stream. The wooden spoon begins its gentle circle, round and round, softly through the flour, quietly through the water. The mixture gathers itself together in the bowl. There's no need to make it become anything all at once. Good bread understands patience. So does this kitchen. A small window above the table looks out toward the sleeping village. Beyond the rooftops, the sky has begun to soften. Deep blue giving way to the faintest silver. The stars still linger. The sea still whispers beyond the harbor. And here, inside the bakery, the first dough of the morning begins. The baker dusts the table with flour. It spreads in a soft white veil across the wood. The dough is turned gently onto the surface. It rests there for a moment, warm and simple beneath the golden light. Then the baker begins to fold it, press, turn, fold, rest. Again. Press, turn, fold, rest. The rhythm is steady and quiet, almost like the sea, almost like breathing. The dough becomes smoother beneath his hands. The kitchen seems to settle around the rhythm. The oven glows. The lantern burns. The flour softens the edges of the table. Outside, the village continues to dream. There is a special kindness in work done before anyone is awake to see it. A quiet care that asks for no attention. A generosity folded into warm dough morning after morning. Soon, these loaves will rest in baskets, one for the tea house, one for the small cottages near Willow Lane, one, as always, for the little bookshop that never closes. But for now, they are simply dough. Warm, soft, comforting. The baker covers the bowl with a clean linen cloth. The fabric settles gently over the rising dough. The kitchen grows still again. The work has begun. And the morning is taking shape slowly in the warmth of the little bakery. The covered bowl rests upon the wooden table. Beneath the linen cloth, the dough continues its quiet work. Nothing about it can be hurried. It rises in its own time. Softly, steadily, trusting the warmth of the room. The baker wipes a little flour from the table with the side of his hand. A pale cloud lifts into the golden light, then settles once again upon the wood. The kitchen holds the scent of beginnings. Flour and warm water, honey and yeast, cinnamon resting nearby, butter waiting in a small ceramic dish. Every ingredient seems peaceful in its place. The baker prepares another bowl. This one is for a softer bread. A morning loaf with a little milk, a spoonful of honey, and a touch of butter folded into the dough. The honey pours slowly from the spoon, catching the lamplight as it falls. Golden, smooth, unhurried. It disappears into the warm milk as though it has always belonged there. The spoon makes a gentle circle, then another. The flour is added little by little. Each scoop falls with a soft sound. The baker folds the mixture together with quiet patience. The dough gathers beneath his hands. At first, it is tender and uneven, then smoother, then softer still. The room seems to breathe around the work. The oven keeps its steady warmth. The lantern glows. The wooden table holds everything with quiet strength. Outside the window, the sky continues to pale. A narrow line of silver rests above the rooftops. Soon, the village will begin to stir. A curtain will shift. A kettle will warm. A door will open onto the morning air. But here in the bakery, time still moves gently. The baker turns the dough onto the flour table. Press, turn, fold, rest. Press, turn, fold, rest. Each movement leaves a little trace of flour upon his hands. Each fold carries warmth deeper into the dough. The repetition becomes its own kind of calm. There is no need to follow every motion. The rhythm is enough. The sound of hands against dough, the soft whisper of flour, the low warmth in the oven, the distant sea beyond the harbor. The first bowl of dough rests beneath its linen cloth. The second soon joins it. Two quiet promises waiting in the amber light. The baker places them side by side near the warmth of the oven. Then he prepares the baskets. One lined with cream-colored cloth, one with pale blue linen, one with a little embroidered edge carefully mended in one corner. The baskets have carried bread through many mornings, to the tea house, to the cottages, to the bookshop with its oak shelves and warm fire. And each morning they return, ready to be filled once more. The baker sets a small round loaf aside. It's always made first, plain, golden, simple. A little bread for the bookshop door, a quiet tradition. A small kindness placed gently into the morning before anyone thinks to ask for it. The dough continues to rise. The sky continues to lighten. The oven continues its steady glow. And the little bakery, warm before sunrise, keeps preparing the day with patient care. The first loaves have risen beautifully. Their rounded tops rest beneath the linen cloth, quiet and full of promise. The baker gently lifts the fabric. The warm scent of fresh dough rises into the kitchen. Soft, comforting, familiar. His hands move with practiced care. Each loaf is shaped patiently. A gentle fold, a quiet turn, final smoothing of the surface. nothing asks to be perfect, only cared for. A wooden board rests beside the oven. Its smooth surface has welcomed countless mornings like this one. One by one, the loaves are placed upon it. Their pale flour catches the golden light. For a brief moment, they almost seem to glow. The oven door opens. A welcoming warmth flows gently into the room. The loaves disappear inside, and the heavy wooden door closes once again. The kitchen grows quiet. Only the soft crackle of the fire remains. Waiting becomes part of the morning. The baker wipes his hands upon the linen apron. He pours himself a small cup of tea. Steam rises in delicate curls. The cup rests comfortably between his hands while the bread continues its quiet work. Outside, the first birds begin their morning songs. Never all at once. One voice, then another still. The village wakes as gently as the bread rises. Beyond the rooftops, the horizon begins to glow. The deep blue of night slowly welcomes softer shades of silver and pale gold. The sea reflects the first light long before the sun appears. Its patient rhythm remains unchanged. Morning simply gives it another color. The fragrance of baking bread begins to fill the bakery. Warm flour, golden crusts, butter slowly melting inside the softer loaves. The scent drifts toward the open window. It wanders into the quiet street. Soon it will reach the cottages, the tea house, the little bookshop, and the harbor. Without saying a single word, the bakery quietly lets the village know that morning has begun. The oven continues its gentle work. The baker waits. There's wisdom in knowing when to do nothing at all. Sometimes the greatest care is simply allowing good things the time they need. The fire glows. The bread bakes. The morning softly unfolds. Everything is becoming exactly what it was always meant to be. The first loaf leaves the oven. Its crust is a warm shade of honey and amber. A little ribbon of steam rises as it meets the cool morning air. The baker smiles quietly, not because the loaf is different from yesterday's, but because familiar things have their own quiet beauty. Soon, another loaf follows, then another. The woven baskets begin to fill. Each one is lined with fresh linen. Each loaf is placed gently inside, leaving space for the warmth to settle comfortably around it. Nothing is stacked in haste. Everything has its own place. The little round loaf is wrapped in a simple cream-colored cloth. Its basket is the smallest of them all. It waits upon the corner of the table. The baker reaches for a small handwritten card. No name is written upon it. None is needed. The basket already knows where it belongs. Outside, the village begins its gentle morning. A window opens along Willow Lane. The scent of fresh bread drifts inside. Somewhere nearby, a kettle begins to sing. Farther along the street, the little tea house opens its shutters to welcome the first light. Its garden still glistens with tiny drops of dew. The baker lifts another basket. This one will find its way to the tea house. Another is prepared for the cottages overlooking the harbor. The smallest remains waiting for one familiar stop, the little bookshop. Its windows are now quiet beneath the early light. Soon, someone will open the front door. They will find a warm loaf resting patiently upon the step, just as they always do. No announcement, only bread, only kindness. Some traditions speak most beautifully without words. The baker places the basket into a small wooden cart. Its wheels have traveled these same cobblestone streets through many peaceful seasons. They know every gentle turn, every familiar corner. The bakery door opens. The cool morning air welcomes the warmth inside. The village stretches softly beneath the first golden light. The sea continues its patient song beyond the harbor. The lighthouse keeps its quiet watch, though its lantern has begun to fade before the growing day. The streets slowly fill with the gentle promise of another peaceful morning. And somewhere, behind the warm windows of a little bookshop, a fresh loaf will soon become part of another quiet day. The baskets have now found their places. The bakery grows peaceful once again. The oven still offers its gentle warmth. The scent of fresh bread lingers comfortably in the air. Flour rests softly upon the wooden table. The linen cloths hang quietly beside the window. The morning has arrived exactly as it always does. Patiently, kindly, without asking anything of anyone. Outside, the village continues its familiar rhythm. The tea house prepares its first cups. The little bookshop welcomes another quiet day among its shelves. The harbor reflects the gentle morning light. The sea continues its endless conversation with the shore. Everything belongs together. The baker pauses for one last moment before beginning the ordinary work of the day. He looks through the small kitchen window. The village is awake now, not all at once. One window, one doorway, one quiet greeting at a time. There's something comforting about knowing that every morning begins with small acts of care. A loaf placed upon a doorstep, a kettle warming on the stove, a lantern gently extinguished after a peaceful night, a book waiting upon a shelf, a path already remembering your footsteps. These quiet gestures become part of the life of the village. They ask for no applause, only the chance to be offered again tomorrow. The warmth of the bakery remains. The fragrance of bread lingers. The morning light grows a little brighter. The sea continues its patient song beyond the harbor. Everything keeps its gentle rhythm. Everything has found its place. And somewhere, just beyond the corner of the little lane, the next peaceful story is already waiting. This story will stay here, quietly waiting for you whenever you wish to return. Until then, sleep well.